Look at this.
Today I'm in Argentina and I'm trying the most viral burger here.
A restaurant in Argentina is making headlines because its restaurant contains a racial slur. And honestly, if you know Argentina's history, this shouldn't surprise you. Because the real history isn't that a restaurant used a racist word or that it's making money off of it. The real story is that Argentina spent generations convincing the world and itself that black and indigenous people barely existed there at all. Today, when most people picture Argentina, they picture European architecture, tango, soccer, and descendants of immigrants from Spain, Italy, and Germany. They don't picture black people, but they should, because at one point, Buenos Aires was one of the most black cities in South America. So what happened? How did an entire population seemingly disappear? The answer is a story involving war, disease, immigration, and racial whitening, and one of the most successful acts of historical erasure in the world. And once you understand that history, a restaurant casually using a racial slur doesn't seem shocking. It seems predictable.
I'm half Argentinian and half Brazilian. I love my heritage. I love our soccer, our traditions, the meat, the insane landscapes, and the culture. But loving a place means you don't look away when it's rotting from the inside. We have to call out the history, the government, and the deep-seated racism that everybody else in Latin America and the world sees, but we continuously deny. There's a major reason why a vast majority of Latin America and the world don't like us. Argentina is easily one of the most racist countries in the world. We are quite literally the Israel of Latin America. Argentina had one of the quietest but most violent genocides in African and indigenous history. Let's stop lying to ourselves. The white Argentina you see today was engineered. It did not just happen naturally. It was a calculated, state-sponsored project of erasure, built on the same foundations of displacement and violence and erasure as America or Israel. Before Europeans showed up, this land belonged to the Diaguita, the Guarani, the Mapuche, and dozens of other indigenous nations. And in the 18th and 19th centuries, African people were a massive part of our fabric. Enslaved Africans were brought here starting in the 1500s. By the early 1800s, black and mulatto residents made up a third of the population nationwide and up to 50% in some of the interior provinces. Where did they go? They didn't just vanish into thin air, they were systematically eliminated. During the Wars of Independence and the horrific War of the Triple Alliance, the state used Afro-Argentines as literal cannon fodder. They were pushed to the front lines to absorb bullets and die, decimating the male population. The black women who survived were forced to intermarry just to get by, accelerating the intentional disappearance of black identity. When the yellow fever epidemic hit Buenos Aires in 1871, the white elite packed their bags and fled to the wealthy suburbs. They left the poorest districts where the Afro-Argentine population was concentrated, quarantined, trapped, and left to die in overcrowded tenements. Out of the 14,000 people wiped out in a matter of months, the dead were disproportionately black. Then came the late 1800s and President Domingo Sarmiento openly pushed blanqueamiento, aka the whitening. The government literally subsidized the migration of over 6 million Europeans, mostly Italians and Spaniards, between the 1860s and 1960s to dilute the surviving black and indigenous populations. At the exact same time, they quite literally erased black and mulatto categories from the national census, reclassifying mixed people as white on paper. If you don't count them, they don't exist. That was the logic. And the obsession with whiteness didn't stop there. After World War II, the government opened its arms to some of the most horrific white supremacists in human history, becoming the primary destination for the Nazi rat lines. People like Adolf Eichmann and Joseph Mengele lived out their lives hiding in plain sight in Argentina. Because of this brutal discrimination, systemic marginalization, and racial erasure, countless Afro-Argentines fled, crossing borders into Uruguay and Brazil just to find a place where black culture had a visible, established footprint and they could breathe without being treated like ghosts or criminals. We see the legacy of this history every single day. We see it when our soccer fans and players yell vile, subhuman racist chants at Afro-Brazilian, African, and French players. We see it in the casual, ugly racism Argentinos export when they travel to Mexico, Bolivia, or Brazil. And we see it in our politics. Argentina also voted against a UN resolution declaring the transatlantic slave trade the greatest crime against humanity. Only 3 countries in the entire world voted against it: the US, Israel, and Argentina. The only country in South America to do so. Think about how deeply shameful that is. To every Afro-Latino, black, and indigenous soul watching this video, the pain you carry is not up for debate. For centuries, the system has tried to gaslight you into believing your history didn't happen or that your ongoing struggle is just laziness or lack of merit. The trauma of having your ancestors systematically erased from the history books while the world praises the European elegance of the country that buried them is a deep psychological wound. Even today, the system demands that you mutilate your identity just to be tolerated. When you're told to straighten your hair or cut off your locks just to look professional or clean for a job, that is the modern corporate ghost of blanqueamiento. It is an absolute disrespect and insult to your humanity to normalize the idea that the features you were born with are inherently unprofessional, sloppy, or lesser than. Your hair, your features, your skin, they are a living map of survival. Cutting them off to make white spaces comfortable should never be celebrated or viewed as a milestone of success. It is a forced compromise born from a racist blueprint that has been running for 500 years, designed to break your spirit and make you blend into a background that never wanted you there in the first place. Your existence is resistance, and your natural self requires zero apology. The root cause is a national myth of exceptionalism built on collective amnesia. Argentina created an identity crisis by convincing itself it is a piece of Europe misplaced in South America, and to maintain that lie, it has to aggressively reject its own geography and history. The root cause is a deep, fragile insecurity that protects itself with arrogance and denial. The government needs to completely overhaul the education system to put indigenous and Afro-Argentine history at the forefront, admitting exactly how the modern state was built. We need to stop hiding behind the excuse of it's just football passion or it's just a joke when people show their overt racism on the world stage. We have to kill the myth of a white Argentina. Until the country faces the ghosts of its past and actively dismantles the colonial mindsets that dictate who belongs and who looks professional, it will remain stuck in a cycle of global embarrassment and internal rot. And then people wonder why no one likes us in Latin America. The truth is already out there. Y'all gotta stop running from it.
What happens when a country spends generations trying to erase part of its own history? Eventually, the truth catches up. And today, people across the Black community are asking hard questions about Argentina's complicated history with race, identity, and the treatment of Black people. Now, if history makes you uncomfortable, maybe that's because it's asking us to pay attention. Welcome back to Global Trends. If you are passionate about global news, social issues, and conversations that matter, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. Now, let's get into it.
Two racist experiences from Argentinians in the last week. The first one, I was working business class and I'm taking orders, as we do in business class. We take orders for what you want to eat. I'm working my way up to this gentleman. I get to him and I'm like, "Hey sir, did you get a look at the menu?" This man does this. Completely ignores me. I see earphones. Like, maybe he's on the phone. I'll come back. I go take everybody else's order. I come back to him. I'm like, "Hey sir, did you get a chance to look at the menu?" He does this. I'm gagged. I'm like, I've never been shooed away before like I'm some fly, but okay, maybe he doesn't want food. Maybe he doesn't want to eat anything. Cool. So then, mind you, I'm with my afro out because I leave my hair out when I'm taking preferences, and then I tie it up for the service. He goes to my other coworker. Mind you, blonde hair, blue eyes. He goes and tells her, she's working the other side. I'm working his side. She's working this side. He goes up to her and tells her, "I want you to serve me. If she serves me, I'm not gonna eat." So I'm like, then she tells me he told her I was being rude to him. I asked him 2 questions, 2 separate times. "What do you want to eat?" Somehow I was rude. And y'all know me, I'm smiley, I'm happy, I'm bubbly. But somehow I was rude. Honestly, I already knew what was up. He didn't want the girl with the afro to serve him his food. I get it. Then, last night, I could tell they were Argentinian because their accent immediately. We're doing the briefing for the exit rolls, and we asked, as we're supposed to do, "Hey, are you over the age of 15 and are you willing and able to help in case of an emergency?" The woman looks at my coworker that I asked her, like, looking around for as if she wasn't talking straight to her. So then I tell her in Spanish, I'm like, "Señora, tienes que entender inglés para sentarte en la silla de emergencia. Te puedes sentar aquí atrás o si tienes otra persona puedes cambiar." Basically, in the exit roll, you gotta understand English in case of an emergency, because not all of us are gonna speak your language, but all of us are gonna speak English, and very quickly at that. So her daughter comes up like, what are you doing? I paid extra for the seat for my mom to have extra leg room. And I'm like, I understand, but to sit in the emergency exit, you have to understand English. In case of an emergency, we're gonna be shouting commands in English, and we can only have people here that understand and can follow commands in case of an emergency. That's the whole point of an emergency exit row. So I say all that in Spanish to her. Then my other coworker comes back like, oh, are you guys gonna switch? And then she starts again with my coworker, attacking her. Obviously, another black woman. She starts attacking her like, oh, who are you? You're just a flight attendant. You can't tell me I paid for this seat. I'm like, ma'am, I understand. Can you just switch with your mom, please? She's like, okay. Then she brings another girl because that row was empty. She brings another girl. So she paid for one seat, but then got another seat for free. At the end of the flight, she goes up to my coworker, talking about, what's your name? I'm gonna write you up. You were so rude. I'm like, all we told you was that you have to switch. So then at the end of the flight, she goes up to the lead flight attendant, talking about, oh, esa negrita ya fue, da, 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 da. And I'm like, negrita, that's how you, and that right there confirmed that she was Argentinian. Because I'm telling you, the most racist experiences I've experienced in my life have been in Argentina. Because when I have my hair like this, when I have my hair curly, when I have afro, when my hair is straight, I'm Latina passing, I'm white passing because I'm melanin deficient. But that right there is why I stopped straightening my hair for work, especially going to Argentina, because if you're racist, I want to know that you're racist. And just some background on Argentina and why they're so racist, in case y'all didn't know. One, after the war, all the Nazis fled to Argentina. They have literal Nazi museums in Argentina. When the rest of the world was freeing enslaved Africans, Argentina chose to murder all enslaved Africans because they did not want black citizens living amongst them. But yeah, that's my story time. The more melanin rich you are, the worse you get treated. To me, in Argentina, they are way more racist than the United States. But I don't live there. I'm just talking about from my own experience and their history.
Argentina is the most racist country in the world, with the most racist people in the world. Kylian Mbappe just said in a Champions League match, a guy called Gianluca Prestiani, who plays for Benfica, put his shirt over his mouth and called Vinicius Jr., a black Brazilian player, monkey 5 times, which Mbappe had. Vinicius had it, Benfica players had it. So people who are now trying to claim that this player never said it, this is Champions League football for those who don't know. That's all nonsense. Prestiani, Italian name, is Argentine because, and again, this is the history of Argentina. Listen, I'm going to do a video about Argentina because, you see, I've realized that my videos now, they're getting like millions of views. So I'm clearly like, I make certain things that people actually watch and care about. So Argentina is on the list now. This country is so racist, it blows my mind because it's 2026. They've got a racist president, a white supremacist president called Milei. They had a situation where this Argentine woman was in Brazil and made monkey chants at a waiter. She was arrested and is now facing 5 years in prison, and she's all over the place because in Brazil, being racist is illegal. It's not in Argentina, but it's illegal in Brazil. And she's facing prison time, and she's now begging to go back home. Last year, there was an Argentinian woman who was caught on camera calling a Mexican, she was in Mexico, calling a Mexican traffic person the N-word. I saw the video. She got arrested, put in jail, and they were throwing things at her when she got released from prison, and then she got deported, banned from Mexico. What is wrong with that country? There's a guy who plays for Chelsea, an Argentine player, who was caught on camera singing a racist song with his Argentinian teammates on camera, posted it on social media. It's a racist song about the French national team because they've got a lot of black African players. And this was during the Copa America. France wasn't even playing in the Copa America. And they were saying, listen, this country, I cannot tell you how racist Argentina is. I lived in Colombia for a while, so I know about, and Colombians were telling me that, listen, man, you don't want to go to Argentina. I went to Brazil. Brazilians were telling me, you don't want to go to Argentina. Every South American country I went to told me that do not go to Argentina. Everything I've seen out of that country, it is mind-blowing. It's like these people are living in 1925. Guys, the history of that country, a lot of Nazis after World War II went to seek refuge in Argentina and Brazil as well. Guys, the video's coming. I just wanted to let you know that if you are a black person, you are crazy if you go to Argentina. We've got to start making more videos about our country. What the hell is going on over there?
Are black people allowed in Argentina? I know. It sounds stupid, doesn't it? Well, this is what some foreigners are trying to get people to buy into the idea that we are racist. Because there are not many black people here, we are racist. They want to label us as racist. Obviously, that's not true. We're not racist. We love people. It doesn't matter where you come from, it doesn't matter your skin color. We love people. So, there are some foreigners who come to Argentina and they're black, and just because they don't see many black people, they assume that we are racist. And, you know, they say, oh my gosh, if you go to Argentina, they're going to stare at you because you are the odd one. Not because you are the odd one. We're going to stare at you because we love your skin color. Because we're going to stare at you because you look amazing. That's the reason that we're going to stare at you. But oh gosh, it annoys me when people go to a particular country in order to expect to see black people. I mean, it's preposterous to think that there are people who go to a country to expect to see black people. If you want to see black people, go to Nigeria, go to Ghana. But I think it's so preposterous to visit a country in order to see black people. We are a welcoming country. No one is gonna say anything nasty to you because we respect people.
In 1800, about a third of Buenos Aires was black. And by 1875, the Argentine government had stopped counting black citizens in the census because there supposedly weren't enough left. Now, maybe it's just me, but when I hear something like that, I have questions because people don't just disappear. So, of course, I started digging. What I found was one of the wildest stories I've come across in a long time. See, a lot of people today genuinely believe that Argentina didn't have a significant black population, ever. If you ask some Argentines about black Argentinians, they'll probably tell you that black people just came there recently, that they're immigrants, that they've always been a tiny minority. But that's not what the history says. Black people helped build Buenos Aires. Black people fought in Argentina's wars for independence. Black people helped shape Argentine culture. Even parts of the tango trace back to Afro-Argentine traditions. So how do you go from a city where black people made up roughly a third of the population to a country where people grow up believing that black Argentinians barely exist? That's where the story gets ugly. Part of it was war. Black men were disproportionately pushed into military service and sent to fight in conflicts with devastating casualty rates. Part of it was disease. Yellow fever tore through Buenos Aires in 1871, and it hit black communities especially hard. But the more I read, the more I realize this wasn't just a story about tragedy. It was also a story about intention, because there were powerful people in Argentina who openly believed that the country's future should be white. Not diverse, not multicultural, white. And unlike people today who hide behind coded language, these men wrote it down. One of the most famous was Domingo Faustino Sarmiento. He's celebrated in Argentina today. Schools named after him, streets named after him. A former president, a founding figure. And he argued openly that Argentina should be remade through European immigration. Then came something called the Blanqueamiento. Millions of European immigrants were encouraged to come to Argentina. The country changed rapidly. And while all that was happening, something else was happening too. The remaining Afro-Argentine population was slowly being erased, not just from neighborhoods, from records, from census categories, from public memory. That's the part that got me. Because when most people hear the word erasure, they picture like burning books or something. But sometimes erasure looks a lot quieter than that. Sometimes it's changing categories. Sometimes it's deciding who gets counted, whose story gets told. And then a few generations pass. Right. And eventually people start saying there were never any Black people here. What are you talking about? And what keeps sticking with me is that Afro-Argentines never fully disappeared. Their descendants are still there. Their history is still there. Their contributions are still there. The thing that disappeared was the acknowledgement. Right. And honestly, I think that's one of the scariest forms of erasure, because once a country forgets who helped build it, it becomes a whole lot easier to pretend that those people never mattered in the first place. A third of Buenos Aires was Black. And that should be common knowledge. The fact that it isn't is part of the story.
Argentina is a country that has a history in practicing eugenics. They've never really tried to hide it. They wrote it in their constitution, matter of fact. In 1778, 30% of Argentina's population was Black. By 1887, they made up less than 2% of Argentina's population. Argentina built its modern state in the 19th century, and its founding intellectuals were very clear about the society that they wanted to build. Juan Bautista Alberti is the architect of the Argentine Constitution. He wrote that to govern Argentina was to populate it with Europeans. Between 1880 and 1930, 6 million Europeans arrived. They also used a form of census manipulation. By the late 19th century, census takers were instructed to classify mixed-race individuals as white, and they constructed an official self-image as a white European country, until the erasure became something that everyone believed. And obviously these racist ideals and ideas of supremacy are still very much so tainted in today's society. Have you seen the Argentina national soccer teams play against anyone Black? You know what I'm talking about. Honestly,
I don't think I'm racist for observing how much of the world can't understand why Argentines are so in fact racist. Okay, the observation of that is not racist. The Argentines have a problem. They're not the only ones who have a problem. We also have a problem. Colombians have a problem, and Brazilians have a problem too. But did you see that the Argentine tourist in Brazil who made the monkey noises, and she was fucking at a Brazilian guy, and she was detained because that shit's illegal there? She was detained for that shit. Another Argentine, by the way. Of course, as I just indicated, there are many Argentines who are wonderful, and I don't mean to say that there's no way to... I'm desperate to go to Buenos Aires. You heard me say it on this live chat many, many times, but I'm sorry, Argentina has a problem with racism, and I'm not the only one saying it. Most of South America says it. People here in the know say it. It's a problem. It's a problem. And again, to see the video of the entire Argentine national team, the soccer team, singing songs about the French Black players and where they're from, guys, like, what the fuck you want me to say? You want me to say that's not racist? It's racist as shit. Like, I would learn to fix what y'all have before, like, lashing out at everybody.
For many people around the world, Argentina is only known for football, tango, beautiful landscapes, and vibrant culture. But another part of its history has gained increasing attention, the country's Black population, and the way Black history has often been overlooked or minimized. Now, Black communities were present in Argentina from the colonial period onward, contributing to the country's cultural, economy, and military history. Over time, however, wars, disease, immigration, intermarriage, and changing national narratives have all contributed to a sharp decline in the visible Black population. Now, many historians also point to policies and social attitudes that encourage the idea of Argentina as an overwhelming European nation, leaving Afro-Argentinian history underrepresented for generations. Now, that history matters. For many Black people, watching these conversations unfold, this isn't just about one country. It reflects a broader pattern seen in different parts of the world where Black contributions are ignored, Black voices are marginalized, and Black identity is treated as something that doesn't belong. That's why these reactions are so emotional. When people hear stories about racism or historical erasure, they aren't simply reacting to old events in a history book. They are responding to experiences that continue to shape lives today. Across the globe, many black communities have spent generations fighting to have their history recognized, their humanity respected, and their contributions acknowledged. Solidarity grows from recognizing those shared struggles. Now, at the same time, it's important to avoid painting every Argentinian with the same brush. Millions of people live in Argentina today, millions of people who live in Argentina today, they reject racism, support inclusion, and are working to preserve Afro-Argentina history. Now, around the country, scholars, activists, artists, and community organizations continue pushing for greater recognition and equality. Now, real progress begins when history is acknowledged rather than denied. Ignoring comfortable truths doesn't make them disappear. Honest conversations create opportunities to learn, heal, and build societies where everyone's story is valued. The black community has every reason to speak about historical injustice, not to promote division, but to insist that history be told fully and accurately. Recognition is not about rewriting the past. It's about refusing to erase the people who helped shape it. As more people learn about Argentina's racial history, one thing becomes increasingly clear. Every nation has difficult chapters. The question is whether those chapters are hidden or confronted. Now, thank you for watching Global Trends. If you believe every community deserves to have its history acknowledged and every person deserves to be treated with dignity and respect, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and share it with others. Now, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts on Argentina's history with race? Can countries truly move forward without fully confronting their past? Let's keep the conversation respectful and thoughtful in the comments below. Until next time, please stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll see you in the next video. As always, credit belongs to original creators.